YouTube commercials. Alrighty. Okay, share this tab. Alright, so good morning on this cold Saturday. Hope you all are doing well. I took the day off from doing this yesterday because I just enjoyed the day, I guess. Get things ready for the snow storm that we'll see how it pans out. Alright, so I'm starting with the Catoosa Unified Development Code. This will be part 6. I'll give my rundown. You can go to the cityofcatoosa.org website to review this code. You can go to the website and then you hit the first graphic under news. The link takes you to Plan Catoosa Comprehensive Plan. And it has a link to the code in PDF form that you can review, which is what I've been reviewing. And then they have a comment section that you can click on and leave your comments and questions and stuff there. So today is, let's see, share this tab. Okay. The city website also gives you information on the Planning Commission and the City Council and city staff. All the emails and phone numbers are in there. I've gone over it in previous videos, so this out of the way so I quit grabbing it. Okay, so we'll see how far we get today. My regular rundown. I am reading this thing through for the very first time. I look at it and I try to think of examples where things would apply. I will say as I understand it, because I don't know all the ins and outs of city planning. I have a kind of a general idea. And then I have opinions of what I feel like it should really be and what it shouldn't be. And if that stuff comes out, then it's strictly my opinion. Doesn't reflect anything or anybody except for me. And I don't know legalese, so I'm not an attorney. I don't give advice. I'm just reading a document as it is and thinking through in my brain what it means. And trying to understand it the best way I know how. And to develop a general opinion of what it is to me and what it means to what I feel like it means to the city. So if I cannot be heard, please let me know. I am trying to watch the comments. I don't know if I get them. Like I said before, I've gotten comments after the live, so instead of during sometimes, but I am watching from my phone just to see. Oh, I sound so groggy. Oh, goodness. Okay. Let's get started so I can take another chunk off this thing. Okay. Last time we talked about the materials and stuff of PUDs and um, information about that. We're in like special districts, so that is, yeah, today's 2.3 special district design standards. So in previous life, special districts are designated separate from the regular coding or zoning codes. Your normal residential codes and industrial or commercial areas. Um, the city of Catoosa has designated a certain area for a special district, which on this map here, please share. Okay. On this map, double check. Okay. On this map, this peachy orange area, pinky, peachy, and these over here, and this one down here. Um, to read this map, there's another one. Let me get the other one real quick. Did I leave it up? I probably didn't leave it up. This map shows the city of Catoosa. And this map says Catoosa Comprehensive Plan 2025. So this is their most recent map. And the fence line goes around all this colored highlighted area here. There's a blue line there. Where's the 100-year floodplain contours city limits? City limits is this. Blow it up a little bit. City limits. Okay. So some of it's going to get covered up by the other information. But basically, starting down here at Rolling Hills, and this going up. Rolling Hills, as I'll say again, is the only neighborhood south of I-44 that is considered the city of Catoosa. In the city limits. If you have a Catoosa address and you're not in the city limits, that means you have an address with the city of Catoosa post office. The city council only has say what's in these borders. The rest would be your county if you're not incorporated into a city. So Rogers County outside out here. And down here, this is Tulsa on this side because they've annexed these areas into Tulsa. So there's some confusion about that. So this is the city of Catoosa lines. And then there's like fence line, but I don't know if they went through the I don't know the story of this area. It's inside the fence line, but it's not designated for anything, so I don't know. As I understand it, maybe it hasn't been completely annexed, like that process hasn't happened, but they've extended their fence line out here for future possible annexation. So anyway, so this is the city of Catoosa, and these yellow areas are residential zones, like Rolling Hills, Spunky Creek. All our neighborhoods are residential zones, and they're in yellow. Office commercial is red. Industrial's the gray. Um, Development sensitive, I guess along the bodies of water and stuff. I don't know. There's probably, yeah, there's bodies of water along these. So the special districts are what we're talking about today, which is, blow it up some, which is the area to the east of Catoosa, the school on the other side of 66. This little area right here along Cherokee, this is a special district, and they got these two as special districts, which, what is that? Oh, okay, so that's the soccer fields right here, and that would be, this is the area I think Manhattan bought, and this would be Mr. Ed's. Yeah, this is like Mr. Ed's area. And then 3 here along the, yeah, the other side of, so anyway, okay. So this is a special district, and this is what we're talking about today in 2.3 is the area that we're talking about in these pink zones. How far will it let me go? Oh, pretty far. I gotta scoot it over. Just want to get a closer look of it. Come on. So, oh, too far. There it is. Okay, let's see. Zoom in some more so we can see it. So they've got these red spaces for commercial. Here's Cherokee all the way to Pine, looks like. What is this, Bluff? This way. Put it in the middle. There we go. So this is going to be what they're going to call Old Town. And they designate it as a special district. I think the purpose mostly is to create a downtown feeling. Catoosa used to have a downtown sort, from what I have seen in old pictures and stuff like that. And they used to have a downtown like Skytook or Claremore or any of these older cities that have those old buildings lined up, you know, on their main street or whatever. Catoosa did have that at some point, but I think there was 2 fires that took out most of that when Chris and I were dating, and he took me driving around in Catoosa. I'm like, well, where's Main Street? Where's your downtown? And he had to like take me down Cherokee and like point out like stuff, and I'm like, oh, okay, because I always thought it was 66. But I did get to eat at Level Amherst before they closed, so that was cool. But until I really got into it, I didn't understand. I mean, I was raised in another city, so like I didn't know anything about Catoosa. I knew of the whale just because of the whale, and now I understand, you know, more history and what's what as far as, I mean, I have lived here for a long time now, so, but so yeah, now I'm just rambling again. I tend to ramble, so I apologize for that. Let's get into the code. Alright, so this is what we're talking about today. This pink area, these pink areas, I guess. Let's see. Get back to the code. Alright. Share this tab. Okay, So special district design standards. Old Town off Cherokee. I'll just say the area around Cherokee. Uh, get that out. General to all special districts. General layout standards. Any development within a special district shall meet the following general standards and principles. Buildings and landscaping should contribute to the physical definition of thoroughfares as civic places. Thoroughfares. I'm going to look that up real quick since I'm here. Thoroughfares. Why is it capitalized? Thoroughfares as civic places. Oh, thoroughfares as civic places. That makes more sense than of. Alright. Thoroughfares as civic places. A street to go to, just not through. I'll have to look into that. I'm just curious why that was. Thoroughfares as civic spaces examples. Let's see. Thoroughfares function as vital civic spaces. I'm reading from Google. Vital civic spaces when designed for pedestrians, cultural, and social interaction rather than just traffic flow. Example includes Barcelona's pedestrian-focused Les Ramblas, the shared space Warner Streets in the Netherlands, and tactical urbanism projects like pedestrianized mural painted Tyrone Street in Charlotte. Making a walking paradise out of a car-centric city. Thinking about how we use. I'm just reading. It's showing me like video. Why I didn't click on videos. Alright. It's giving me videos. Let's see. Cultivating non-violent cities. 5 ways to transform passive streets into thriving public. Passive streets into thriving public spaces. Okay, so Facebook, give me some warnings. I need to close some tabs real quick. I don't like all my tabs being open, I guess. And I'm assuming that the internet's probably going to be slow today because people are stuck at home. Okay, back to the code. Alright, so buildings and landscaping should contribute to physical definition of thoroughfares as civic spaces. So basically when a city takes a street and they want to make it more walking friendly because they want to develop like business and gathering spaces and downtown areas that people walk around and can shop, like Broken Arrow's been doing on their main street, which it's been successful. Broken Arrows, they've done what they've done, and they've made their stuff successful as far as their downtown and what they got going on down there. And I think the vision is for Catoosa to have something like that. Would we support that? Maybe. I don't know how long it would take. But the city is trying to put these things in place to make it a reality, because it hasn't happened organically, I guess you might say. We're really a sleeper town. We After school's out, nothing's going down. Nothing happens on Cherokee. There's nothing to go to, unless you're gonna go eat at L's or the Mexican restaurant. Because people go out of town to do things, or they're at Walmart, or they're at the shops, the Catoosa Hills. And then we have the casino, and they I remember in some meetings they want to try to figure out ways to give people at the casino other options to go to, other things to see. When people go see the whale, they'd like to draw them to the museums and to downtown, to Travel Cherokee, and they want to offer businesses and shops and places to stay, or places to live and places to stay, I guess, to invite more tourism and more people in the city shopping and buying and whatever. I don't know. Because Catoosa doesn't have a downtown in the general the general sense. Okay, let's see. Development should adequately accommodate automobiles. Hold on. It says my key phrase. Let me just close some tabs real quick, because it keeps telling me I've got problems. 99 problems, and Facebook's included in that. Facebook is always one. Maybe that help. They're being so mean to me today. Okay. If I don't start reading, I'm not going to get through this today. Development should adequately accommodate automobiles while providing supportive design and programs incentives to increase the use of other modes of transportation and respecting the spatial form of public areas. Architecture and landscape design should grow from local climate, topography, history, and building practice. Buildings should provide their inhabitants with a clear sense of geography and climate through energy-efficient methods. Civic buildings and public gathering places should be provided as locations that reinforce community identity and support self-government. The plan should anticipate a harmonious and I said that right, didn't I? Harmonious, that's it. Harmonious and orderly evolution of the district based on market changes. Special designations. The following special designations are mandatory. 1. Pedestrian priority frontage. A pedestrian-focused street edge that incorporates appropriate sidewalk space and furnishing zone in front of buildings in Old Town, with buildings brought closer to a historic 0 to 10 foot setback. It should have a landscape furnishing zone in neighborhood areas and follow a more flexible setback. Driveway cuts should be limited, and alternative alleys. Let me mute my phone. Okay. Driveway cuts should be limited and alternative alleys to cross access at the rear of the lot should be implemented. So they want the fronts of buildings and sidewalks, and any parking is all in the back. Driveway cuts should be limited and alternative alleys or cross access to the rear should be implemented. Pedestrian friendly frontage. Oh, let me zoom in. So it's easier to read on phones. A pedestrian-focused street edge that incorporates appropriate sidewalk space and furnishing zone parkway in front of buildings in Old Town with a larger setback range up to 30 feet. Driveway cuts should be limited and would occur on these frontages before one is introduced to a pedestrian priority frontage. U.S. Highway 66 frontage. A pedestrian and bike-focused street edge that provides roadside architecture and setbacks. This frontage allows up to 70-foot deep double head and row of parking in front of the building to keep with that traditional highway setback and provide traditional roadside commercial parking. Building design standards. Building orientation. Primary facade orientation. Primary building facades for all non-residential and mixed-use buildings shall be oriented towards a pedestrian priority or pedestrian-friendly frontage designation. A focal point such as landscape, street, plaza, muse, courtyard, similar formal open space. Oh my goodness. I'm sorry, what's a mew? A row of street of houses or apartments that have been converted from stables or built to look like former stables. Okay. Similar formal open space or an environmental feature shall also be considered as pedestrian priority frontage for the purposes of special districts. Oh my god, I yawn again. Building facade standards. Primary facades along pedestrian priority or pedestrian-friendly frontages shall contain the main entrance of any principal building located along that street. All principal buildings located on a pedestrian priority or pedestrian-friendly frontage shall also have doors and windows and other architectural features facing that street. Non-residential or mixed-use corner buildings shall have at least one customer entrance facing each street or a corner entrance instead of two entrances. All development shall provide ground floor windows on the building's facade facing and adjacent to a street, with the exception of alleys or facing onto a park, plaza, or other civic space. The required area of windows and doors on each street facade along pedestrian priority or pedestrian-friendly frontage, park, square, green, plaza, or other civic space is a percentage that facade shall be a minimum of 70% for commercial ground floors and a minimum of 30% for all other uses in upper floors. The required minimum area of windows and doors on other street facades, with the exception of alleys, shall be 50% for commercial ground floors and a minimum of 30% for all other uses in upper floors. So you bring a building plan to go into Old Town, and you have to show them that your windows meet the percentage required by the city, by this code. Oh. So if you only want one window and it doesn't meet that standard, you're going to have to make it bigger or put in another one, even if you don't want to. Darkly tinted windows and mirrored windows that block two-way visibility shall not be permitted along ground floor facades of non-residential uses. Location and design of parking and service areas. All surface parking lots shall be located at the side or rear of a building. Specifically, the frontage of surface parking lots shall be minimized along pedestrian priority and pedestrian friendly frontage designs. So, we don't. Do we have any neighborhoods in the city that have alleyways for the back? I mean, most businesses have their loading areas in the back. So now they want loading areas. They want alleyways and parking all in the back with loading areas in the back or sides. And I know, thinking about Claremore, they do have street parking in the slanted. Jinx has the slanted street parking. I might have to dig into that. I'm trying to think of, does Cherokee have enough room for these options? Like, the school owns their piece, and then we have the houses on one side facing Helen Paul. And I previously looked at the Helen Paul area, and they were gonna they had this vision to build it up around the school, but that would take the school willing to sell to someone that wants to develop that area. I'm just trying to think of what's along Cherokee that this could be implemented, unless people start buying properties and just knocking stuff down. Maybe they plan for like a 100-year plan for this. I don't know. Let's see. Location and design of parking and service areas. If located adjacent to other streets, screening shall be provided along the length of the parking area, except where sidewalk and vehicular access occurs. A surface parking lot may not be adjacent to a street intersection with a pedestrian priority frontage or civic space such as a plaza or square, or occupy a lot that terminates a street vista. Shared parking facilities are encouraged in all districts. Bicycle parking shall be provided for non-residential uses. Multi-family uses, especially for schools, parks, trails, and other recreation facilities. Bicycle parking shall be provided at a rate of 5% of all street automobile parking spaces. Provided for all non-single family residential uses, attached and detached. Bicycle parking may be shared between uses and should be centrally located. Easily accessible, covered protected from the elements, lit at night and visible from streets or parking lots. So if you have a parking lot, you have to have bicycle parking, and it should be covered and lit and be visible. So is that the caveat? Like, if you want to build new in this area, you have to do bike parking. You have to pay to cover it. Bike parking may be located between the roadway and the building facades if the location does not impede pedestrian walkways. Any off-street parking provided for residential uses shall be in such a manner as to minimize the impact of garages and driveways along the residential street. All residential lots that are 40 feet or less in width shall have off-street parking and or garages accessed from alleys. Front-loaded garages are permitted on lots greater than 40 feet, but in no case shall width of the garage exceed 50% of the front facade width of the entire building, or 24 feet, whichever is smaller. In addition, the garage shall be set back at least 6 feet from the front facade of the home, the closest exterior wall plane to the street. Design of automobile-related site elements, drive-throughs, service bays, etc. Drive-through lanes, drive-up windows, service bays, and other related site elements shall not be located along any pedestrian priority or pedestrian-friendly frontage. Along all other frontages, no more than 60% of the lot's frontage along such frontage shall be dedicated to auto-related site elements. Drive-through lanes shall be hidden behind a screening device, minimum of 3 feet in height, along adjacent streets. There shall be no limit to the number or frontage of drive-through lanes located along alleys. All off-street loading, unloading, and trash pickup areas shall be located along alleys or rear of buildings only. Such uses may be located along non-pedestrian priority frontages only if the lot has no access to an alley. Any off-street loading, unloading, or trash pickup areas shall be screened in accordance with Section 6.2.3 screening and fencing standards. Hold on. Okie dokie. Driveways shall be located along alleys or non-pedestrian priority frontages unless the site has no access to such roadways. Driveway width shall be maximum of 24 feet unless providing a street access, which in the case they shall be no wider than 30 feet. Driveways shall maintain a continuous and level sidewalk across the curb cut. Driveway spacing shall be per the city engineering design criteria or as approved by the city engineer. Driveways along state highways are under the purview of Oklahoma Department of Transportation, shall meet ODOT standards. Okay, so they give us a graphic. We got our sidewalk. We got our street in the corner. Storefront. Primary street. Oh, this is for the... Okay, this is parking structures. All frontages of parking structures located in pedestrian priority frontages shall be lined by active edges or commercial-ready frontages on the ground floor to a minimum depth of 25 feet. Parking structure facades on all public streets except alleys shall be designed with the both vertical facade rhythm of 20 feet to 30 feet and horizontal aligning with the horizontal elements in block articulation. Where above ground structure parking is located at the perimeter of a building, it shall be screened in such a way that cars on all parking levels are not visible from adjacent buildings or the street. Parking garage ramps shall not be visible from any public street. Ramps shall not be located along the perimeter of the parking structure with the frontage along a pedestrian priority designation. Architectural screens shall be used to articulate the facade, hide parked vehicles, and shield car bumpers and headlights. These are examples, I guess, of the buildings with the parking that is hidden. Historic District Design Standards reserved, so they haven't... I don't think they've come up with those yet. Oh. Alright, 3. Site Design and Development Standards. 3.1 Off-Street Parking. A. Purpose. The regulations of this section are intended to ensure provision of off-street parking of off-street parking and loading facilities in rough proportion to the generalized parking, loading, and transportation demands of different land uses. So this is for all the land uses, all the zoning districts. By requiring such facilities, it is the intent of this section to help avoid the negative effects associated with spillover parking into adjacent neighborhoods. while at the same time avoiding the negative environmental and urban design effects that can result from large surface parking lots and other vehicular use areas. The provisions of this section are also intended to help protect the public health, safety, and general welfare by helping avoid and mitigate traffic congestion, encourage the multimodal transportation options, and enhance pedestrian safety. Okay, yeah. I should have drank coffee instead of apple cider. I have to go make me some coffee in a little bit. Encourage the multimodal transportation options and enhance pedestrian safety. Providing methods to help reduce stormwater runoff and the heat island effect of large paid parking areas, and providing flexible methods of responding to the changing transportation and access demands of various land uses in different areas of the city. Oh, they made B that word. Applicability. Generally, the off-street parking and loading standards of this section shall apply to all parking lots and parking structures accessory to any building constructed and to any use established in every district. Except when specifically exempted, the requirements of this section shall apply to all temporary parking lots and parking lots that are principal use on a site. Am I? Oh, okay. I'm just hearing something. I think it's in the other room. The off-street parking and loading standards shall apply when the existing structure use is expanded or enlarged. Additional off-street parking and loading spaces shall be required to serve the enlarged or expanded area and where possible to reduce the deficiency or parking for the existing building and use. Provide that in all cases, the number of off-street parking and loading spaces provided for the expanded use shall equal 100% of the minimum ratio established in Table 6.3-1 and 6.3-2. What table was? Oh. Change in permitted uses. A permitted use that does not meet the parking requirements of this section may be converted to another permitted use with full compliance with the required number of parking spaces if the administrator determines 1. The maximum possible amount of parking spaces is provided without removing or partially removing a structure. If a structure or portion of a structure is voluntarily removed, the resulting area shall be used to provide the additional parking spaces necessarily towards fulfilling the requirements of Table 6.3 and 6.32. Okay. Amount of parking available is at least 75% of the parking required for the new use in Table 6.3-1, 6.3-2. Location. Required off-street parking, loading, and vehicle stacking spaces shall be located on the same lot as the principal use except as otherwise provided in this section. Use limited to parking. No required off-street parking facility or loading space shall be used for sales, display of merchandise, vehicular or rentals vehicle storage, repair, or service activities unless specifically provided in this ordinance. Off-street parking Schedule A. The off-street parking requirements for uses allowed by this ordinance are listed on Table 6.3-1. The vehicle stacking requirements of Section 6.2-6 or 6.2.6 drive-through vehicle stacking standards may also be applied in certain uses. Okay, so this is your parking requirements for these areas. Single family detached dwelling in residential, at least parking requirement, you have to have 2. A townhouse, 1.5. It says live or work dwelling, at least 1.5. 1 per unit for multifamily. HUD code manufactured home, 1 per bedroom. assisted living, 1 per bed plus 1 per 100 square feet of common area. Okay. So it just runs down the type of residential places and how many parking spots they need. Art gallery, museum, special use, civic areas, labor, political organizations, business or professional, religious. Let's see. You have to have a car parking spot, 1 per 4 seats. If no fixed seating, then base the 25% maximum capacity of the assembly areas. 1 per. Okay, okay, I get that. A community garden, 1 parking spot per 5,000 square foot of lot area. Farmers market is in Schedule C. Okay. So this, I'm not going to read all these. Basically, it's just a rundown of what it is and how much parking it needs. What kind of area. Like the high school. 6 per classroom. And 1 per 300 square feet of administrative office space. So if we were to build a new school, elementary is different than high school because because kids drive, so there needs to be more parking. But I'm pretty sure, and I know this was an issue at Cherokee, and it is now, like, it still needs more parking. Like, I don't, like, honestly, the school needs to fix up Helen Paul to where it can just be, overflow, and have a crosswalk put there or something so people can go back and forth when there's big events. Let's see. So I'm not going to read everyone. Somebody that wants to know their parking requirements can go back and look at that. Ooh, car rentals, RVs, restaurants with takeout or delivery, bread and breakfast. Well, they just things we don't even have yet, but so that's what all this is. Cold storage, self-storage, air transportation uses, taxi services, parking requirements. This is Schedule B. I don't have to read all this. Let's see, what's this part? This is how they calculate the parking. When a situation comes up where they don't have like already a standard for it, they have these special areas, and then the administrative city, whoever, has to help come up with, based on these formulas, based on these outlines, like how to determine how much parking this entity needs. I'm just kind of glancing over it because I don't think I need to read all this. Given the mixed use and redevelopment goals of Old Town, redevelopment goals of Old Town districts, in addition to the focus on walkability, Table 6.3-3 shall establish the parking schedule for all uses in the special districts. So this gives Old Town Core, Old Town Edge, PUD, and additional and the regulations for all this. This is all parking. That's why I'm kind of just glancing over it instead of reading it, because whoever is applying for it needs to read this section so they understand how much parking they're going to have to put in. I could probably read this real quick. Let's see. Vehicle stacking lane apply to buildings that contain drive-through use regardless. Drive-through part. Okay, this is drive-through stuff. Stacking lanes shall not be located between the building and the streets right away. Audible electronic devices as loudspeakers, automobile service ordered devices, and similar instruments shall not be audible beyond the property line. So if you have a drive-through with a speaker, and example like Sonic, if their speaker's just super loud and people over at Quick Trip or scooters can hear them, then that would be deemed too loud. So this is going over drive-through stuff. Stacking spaces, okay. Dimensions of them. Can't build a stacking lane without a bypass lane, so you're not stuck in line when you don't want to be. Off-premise parking. Yeah, I'm not going to go through parking. If you want to read all about parking and parking lot requirements, go to around page 123. Let's see. Shared parking agreements. Credit for nearby public parking. Reductions in parking. Parking space dimensions. No parking space shall be less than 18 feet in length and 9 feet in width, except as provided below. You have a tire stop curb. Maximum 2% required parking spaces may be designed and reserved for compact cars. Off-street parking spaces shall apply in all zoning districts. Parking prohibition. No off-street parking facility shall be located in whole or in part in a vehicle travel lane, sidewalk, parkway, or alley. No off-street parking or loading space shall be located either in whole or in part within any fire lane required by ordinance of the city within aisles, driveways, or maneuvering areas necessarily to provide the reasonable access to any parking space. Non-residential district parking. I'm not going to read through that. Circulation area design. Minimum off-street loading standards. Loading facilities, off-street loading screens. Screening and fencing standards. Commercial and multifamily screening. Landscape buffer strip. A minimum 10-foot wide landscape buffer strip must be provided along the entire length of portion of the perimeter of any commercial or industrial lot that abuts, without an alley or drive separation or residential zoning district, exclusive of driveways and access ways. No landscape buffer strip will be required between any commercial lot that abuts another commercial lot or any industrial lot that abuts another industrial lot. Screening of service, loading, and storage areas. All service areas and lighting serving the service area. All service areas and lighting serving the service area in commercial zoning classifications shall be placed at the rear or side of the buildings and fully screened from all public streets and any residential district that abuts or is directly across a public street or alley from the service area. All service areas, industrial zoning classifications shall be placed at the rear or side of the buildings and screened from arterial streets as indicated on the city's thoroughfare plan, and any residential district that abuts or is directly across a public street or alley from the service area. The screening device shall consist of an opaque architectural screen or fence, wood, precast, tilt wall, and concrete block are prohibited, that substantially conforms to the color, detailing, and building materials of the principal structure. Screening shall be a minimum height of 8 feet to screen truck berths, loading docks, and areas designed for permanent parking or storage of heavy vehicles. Equipment or materials shall have screen height no less than the height of the materials being stored. Screening shall be long enough to screen the maximum size trailer that can be accommodated on the site. Screening from residential uses. Any commercial or industrial use or parking lot that has a side or rear property line contiguous to any residential use or parking lot that has a side or rear property line contiguous to any residential I hate this word. I have words that I don't like. To any residential use shall be screened with a masonry fence. Precast tilt wall and concrete block are prohibited. 6 feet in height. As an alternative, berms in conjunction with the minimum of a 6-foot wrought fence and a combination of trees and shrubs can be utilized to meet the screening requirements of the administrator if the administrator determines that the proposed alternative will provide sufficient screening specifically related to light screening. The screen shall be located no closer to the street than the property line. Any ordinances concerning site obstructions of intersections shall be applicable to the screen where it is intersected by a street or driveway. Prior to construction of any required screens, complete construction plans showing type of material, depth of beam, lighting placement, and structural support shall be analyzed by the building official to determine whether or not the screen will withstand the pressures of time and nature. The screen adequately accomplishes the purpose of which it's intended. Construction plans shall be designed and sealed by a licensed professional engineer and approved by the city. Such screen... That kind of feels random for this section. Such screen shall be constructed prior to the issuance of a certificate of occupancy for any building or portion thereof unless approved by the administrator. The areas adjacent to the required screening wall or areas adjacent to a public street or of right-of-way shall be maintained by the property owner in a clean and orderly condition, free of debris and trash in accordance with the applicable codes of the city. Alright, residential screen and buffering. Required screening. Screening is required for all single-family, detached, two-family, and townhome lots and subdivisions as follows. Back of lots, the rear property line of all lots, the back to an arterial or collector thoroughfare, side of lots, the side property line of all lots, the side to an arterial or collector thoroughfare, and between streets and alleys, between any streets and adjoining parallel alley. Screen plan. Preliminary screen plan. A preliminary screen plan shall be submitted with the preliminary plat. Final screen plan. A final screening plan includes any entry features that showing all elevations and materials shall be submitted with the construction plans. The screening plan shall be reviewed and considered for approval by the administrator prior to approval of the construction plans and prior to the scheduling and pre-construction meeting. Screening walls and fences shall be designed and sealed by a licensed professional engineer and approved by the city. Timing of installation and inspection. Upon installation of the required screening, the developer shall contact the administrator to request final inspections of screening elements. All required screening shall be installed prior to city issuance of a letter of final acceptance. Landscape buffer design standards. Landscape plan A. Landscape plan. A landscape plan for landscaping that will be installed for the development, including landscaping for common amenity areas, entries, and thoroughfare screening, shall be submitted upon approval of the final plat by Planning and Zoning Commission, shall be approved by the administrator prior to scheduling a pre-construction meeting. Standards. Landscape materials and installation shall be in accordance with landscape requirements in Section 6.4. Screening and landscaping options. Screening required by this section shall be installed by the developer in accordance with the approved screening and landscaping plan as applicable. Alright, landscape edge. Masonry, solid, max 8-foot screening wall or type. Trees. Not required. Shrub screens, berms not required. So this is a... Screen this down. Lots or back side to thoroughfare. Lots separated from thoroughfare. So these are the requirements. Okay. So basically these are areas that to have a business or something, you have to put up a screening wall, and these are their requirements and measurements and locations of these screening areas. Landscape edge. All landscaping and screening walls provided to meet subdivision screening requirements shall be located within a private non-buildable lot shown on the preliminary and final plats located between the city's right-of-way line and the nearest residential property line within the subdivision, with the exception of cul-de-sac bulbs, where the required ornamental fence shall be located entirely upon the cul-de-sac lots abutting the adjacent street. The non-buildable lot shall be dedicated, owned by, and maintained by the subdivision's homeowners association. Required landscape edges shall be exclusive of all required street and right turn right of ways, drainage easements, and utility easements. Screening walls and perimeter fences. All required screening walls and fences shall be maintained by the HOA. A minimum of 5-foot wide wall maintained easement dedicated to HOA shall be provided on all lots abutting the required screening along the full length of the required screening wall or fence unless separated by an alley. Let me see how long this is. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and call it there and get back to talk about screenings and residential stuff in the next live. So let's come back to Facebook. Okay, so for now that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to stop there, and hopefully my internet and computer was able to keep up and it's not going to be weird on the video. But so yeah, so like I said the other day, I drove home and there's like all these industrial areas and industrial companies are near rolling hills and stuff. They're going to be required to put money into all these if they, I don't know, if they have to if this is all new build, or is everybody going to be grandfathered in? Like, if you don't have a fence up, are you going to have to put a fence up? Or not a fence, a screening wall? So I'd like to understand that. I guess in general it would be for new builds, but I'll have to find that. But anyway, so yeah, so you got to make sure that things are blocked if you need certain things in your building. If you need storage yards and stuff like that, you got to spend the extra money to cover it up from the eyes of the public. Anyway, so next live, I guess I will start with page, where'd it go? I'll start back on page 133 and pick up where I left off. So you guys have a good afternoon, and I don't know if I'll do it tonight or if I'll just do it tomorrow because I'll be home, but it depends on what I can get done around the house today, so, and what we might be doing later. It might be a movie night or something, or board game night with my kids, I don't know. So anyway, y'all take it easy and stay warm, and I'm gonna go make me some coffee. Have a good afternoon.